I had a few people ask me, what is the best perks or what perks do I use when I first start out in 7 Days to Die? It's a very difficult thing to answer simply because the perks are based on something that you want to be in game. So it's very complicated to tell you, hey, go for this perk, go for that perk. But in today's video, it'll be a quick guide just to show you what I usually pick overall. No matter what game I do play, I usually pick these perks. So if you're starting out in the game, you're not too sure about the perks, I'm going to try to help you today. So first of all, open your perk menu. And well, when you first start, you get a quest. You make sure you do that initial quest and then go to the trader and do that last quest. Simply because that gives you, I think, about 5 points early in the game, and it really does help you. So highly recommend you do that first. Once you've done that, well, if you're new to the game, this can be quite complicated. If you've got time, I recommend you just go and read through all of them just to kind of get a good understanding on what you want to be in this game. So when I first start playing, the first ones I usually pick would be usually under strength area. Now, I usually do a lot of building in this game, so I usually pick Motherload and minus 69er. These are like my go-to perks. Basically what Motherload does, it gives you more resources per your hit. When you hit on trees, rocks, whatever it be, you get more resources out of it. Minus 69er makes you hit harder, and it can increase your tool quality. So that's also quite important. You can see your tool quality goes up by, I think, 2 port tools. And then if you go down, it goes up by 3, then 4, then 5. You know, you get the point. So if you wanted to upgrade your tools, minus 69 is your way to go. Another thing that I usually sometimes pick as well is Pack Mule. Basically what this does, it increases your size that you can carry. So if you open up your inventory, you can see that you have, I think it's like 26 spots that are available. If you use Pack Mule, you will unlock these other ones at the bottom as well. The more pack meal you do, the more spots you unlock. Simple. So now, if you're going to go for a lot of melee combat, you're going to be hitting a lot of zombies across the head. You're going to be running around and using your fists or whatever it may be. Usually, I think it's your melee. You always go with your sexy Tyrannosaurus. This is really helpful. It reduces your stamina usage on power attacks and stamina usage overall. So this is nice if you're using clubs, knives, or whatever, because it really reduces your stamina, and that's something that can be quite life-saving, I'll tell you that. If you're going to go directly with something very heavy like a sledgehammer or something, then you can join up with the Skull Crusher in this one, because that's also pretty good, and it allows you to craft better sledgehammers in return, like better quality. I think you can make better quality stone sledgehammers as well. So that's also quite helpful. So I would go for Sexy T and Skull Crusher together if you're going to go for that bruiser type of character. Definitely worth your time. If you have shotguns and you want to go through the shotgun era, then Boomstick is the way to go as well. But I don't usually pick this early game. It's just not something I really do. Besides, the guns that you get early game are pretty easy to kill the zombies early game because, you know, they're easy zombies, so it shouldn't be that hard. Pummel Pete is more for your clubs and stuff. I don't like the club specifically, so I don't ever perk up into this. If you have a baseball bat, it also works for that as well. So Master Chef is not something I perk into, mainly because I play with my girlfriend RJ. She does most of the cooking. I don't really do that. She does Master Chef, and she recommended that it's a good perk to put into when you're first starting in the game, because you can make bacon and eggs, boiled and grilled meats. And I must admit, having bacon and eggs is quite good in game. It gets you further as well. So if you want to do some cooking, then that's definitely, I think, one of your major go-to perks as well. Definitely worth a perk up. So remember, guys, like I said, these perks is something that I usually pick. Your layout of your character may be different. You may not like the way I set up my character, which is fine. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what's your favorite picks when you first start the game, because that's fine. So this is something I usually perk up into quite a lot, and I must admit, I've done quite a few experiments on this specifically, and I become a very, very unstoppable character. So if you want your character to be really, really strong, really tanky, really can go out there and get hit a couple of times and not have a problem, I highly recommend you perk up into Healing Factor. as well as pain tolerance. If you max out your pain tolerance and your healing factor, you're going to be almost unstoppable. So those two, I've noticed, really make you really strong. So definitely give that a try. Well insulated, I would not touch this whatsoever. If you're going to go into the desert biome or the snow biome, then yes, start fiddling with that and perk your way into that. But if you're in the forest biome, you do not need to worry about well insulated at all. Don't waste your perks early on in that. That's not necessary. Living off the land, right now in Alpha 20, B233 is not worth it. So it's better to go hunting for animals and cook the meat, the bacon and eggs and the grilled meat. Living off the land is just not worth it currently. So maybe leave that one out. Besides, I think in the future as well, killing animals is much more efficient and quicker than farming crops. So yeah, leave that one out completely. Iron Gut is not something I really perk into. If your server is quite rare with animals and there's not much going around, then well, it might be worth it. But I mean, I always have food to eat, so there's not really need to worry. Basically what it does is it stops you from being hungry and thirsty all the time. Cardio, I don't perk into this too much. I don't do much running around. You must remember, guys, when you are playing, if you are exploring, then yeah, sure, okay, understandable. But if you're in the general area, there's really no point in perking up into cardio. If you're just going to the trader, to a POI, to the trader, there's really no use of doing that when you're just in the area. Don't waste your early game perks on cardio. Besides, if you do 10 missions, I think it's 8 to 10 missions at a trader early game, you get a bicycle, which again, it'll be much better to use a bicycle and use your cardio and waste your points on that. So the huntsman would be probably better than going for living off the land, just simply because you get more meat harvesting from stuff. You get bone and leather as well. So definitely, if you had to choose between living off the land or the huntsman, I recommend using the huntsman right now in Alpha 20B233. It's more viable right now. And then you got your brawler and your machine gunner, which again, it depends. Do you want to go running around beating people with your fists or, you know, those knuckle things? Then, yeah, sure, perk up into that. But early game, it's not necessary. You're not going to run around punching zombies with the fist, especially if you're new to the game. Never. And machine gunner, you don't really need to worry about that. That's more later game, guys. Don't worry about that stuff so early on. Don't panic. It's not too bad. Machine guns will do you just fine early game. Only later on you're going to need to perk into the stuff, simply because zombies get stronger as the time goes on and your game stage goes on. So don't worry too much about your machine guns, your pistols, your boomstick. Don't worry about that. Okay, so under agility, there's really not much I do under here early game. If I find myself a machete or a knife, then I go deep cuts. It basically makes zombies bleed from your knives and machetes and stuff. Also gunslingers for your pistols. If you've got a pistol, sure, why not? It's pretty worth its time. I would say this is better than the boomstick or the machine gun. This is more viable. You find ammo quicker for this. I suppose the shotgun's quite good. So the boomstick's quite good as well, because you find a lot of ammo for that gun. But everything else, I usually leave out from this. This is not something I usually perk up into a later game. I do not like parkour. Now, a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I don't like parkour whatsoever. Why? Simply because if I perk up into parkour, let me just show you an example, right? It gets me killed. What parkour does, it makes you jump higher, which is a bit of a problem. Like, let's say if I wanted to just jump up here, simple, easy. But if I had parkour maxed out, I'm not going to just jump there. I'm going to jump way up, and it's going to put me out of whack, and I'm going to be falling and stuff. So I don't like parkour too much. It's not my thing, but it's totally up to you, I guess. So Intellect. Now I do use better barter, and lately I've been using the Daring Adventurer. Basically it gives you more rewards per your missions that you do at the trader. So that, I must say, is quite worth it, because you get quite nice stuff that you can choose from at the trader. Better barter reduces the prices of things in the shop. So that's also a pretty good one. If you wanted to buy a motorbike or something, then yeah, that's probably worth your time. Charismatic in nature, I don't really use this. This is mainly for if you've got allies, increases the combat powers. I'm not entirely sure if it increases, it's just a you are in your allies. It's just allies. I don't think it works for yourself. It might. I've never really used this, so I can't really tell you. Advanced engineering, you will need this if you can do some crafting. So you're now able to, so the first tier, you're now able to Blacksmith and able to make a forge in iron and metal objects. Craft forges and items with 20% faster craft glue cheaper. So that, yeah, you're going to need this, guys. This is definitely something you're going to perk onto early game if you're going to do a lot of crafting and getting yourself some forged iron and making yourself some forged iron tools in the future as well. Definitely 100%, this is one of the first things you perk into unless you can find a book for this early game. Other than that, the Executioner is not really something I'm interested in. It basically helps you out with your stun batons and electrical stuff. Not too interesting, I guess. I mean, your stun batons, your electric ones. Yeah, so I don't really focus too much on Electrocutioner. And then you got your perk books, which you do not have to worry about. This is basically what you found in the world. These are all the books you can find. You can basically go back and see what the books that you found do, as well as if you're looking for a specific book, you can see it'll tell you, hey, this book does this and that and this. So if you find it, hooray, it'll be awesome. But you don't have to worry about this. Is more like a diary of what you've collected. Don't have to worry too much about that. Now, under perception, I really don't do anything with this. The Javelin Master is mainly for your spears. So if you're doing a lot of spears, which is, yeah, it's not my favorite item in the game. I don't really like it. I think the stun batons are a little bit better than that. The pipe one, the easy one that you can craft in game, that's probably a better way to go than a spear. Lockpicking, basically it's lockpicking. If you find lockpicks, then you can perk up into this if you like. But if you're just starting out, you don't have any lockpicks, then just leave it until you get lockpicks. The Infiltrator is for your use of less damage from traps. Not really something that I'm interested in. Animal Tracker, I don't ever use. It's pretty easy to find animals. There's no reason to use this. To be honest, it's a waste of a perk in my opinion. The Penetrator is to weak spots on the targets. It's not really necessary. If you are early game, you can wait until you get later on, until you get stronger zombies to kill. Lucky Looter. Now there's been a lot of debate about Lucky Looter, and there's been a couple of content creators who actually did some thorough testing in Lucky Looter, and if I can find the video, I'll leave it down below in the description. But in my experience from playing from 19 to 20, I have had luck with Lucky Looter in perk 1 and 2. I haven't really gone further into 3, 4, 5. All I can say is the 1 and the 2 has made quite a difference in my loot quality, especially in Alpha 20. So I am not sure if that's the case for everybody, but I have had quite a bit of luck with the 2 perks on that. So early game, yeah, maybe not necessary, but maybe when you get a little bit like day 10 or something, you can start perking up into Lucky Looter. Treasure Hunter is also pretty decent, but again, you know, you don't really have to do this so early game. Don't waste your perk on something that's not necessary. This basically helps you when you're digging up treasure or something. It just helps you find the treasure quicker. Salvage operations, you can wait until you get yourself a forge going and a workbench, as when you salvage vehicles and whatnot with a wrench or ratchet, you can get more materials from it. And then you got like Deadeye and Demolitions Expert, which isn't necessary. Deadeye is more for hunting rifles. It makes you shoot better and do more damage. The Demolitions Expert's more for like grenades and stuff. Yeah, not necessarily so early game on. So yeah, guys, that's about it. I just showed you the ones I usually perk into, and I gave an overview of some of them that I think is worth it and some of them that I don't think is worth it. This is just my opinion again, guys. If you want me to see your guys' setup, be sure to let me know down below in the comments. I'm interested to see what everyone else's setup is like. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helped you. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the like and subscribe for more, because I'll have plenty of tutorial videos coming out for you guys to try and help new players in the game. Bye, everybody!